All right, do that again. Okay.
Sponsored by Stella.
No, I'm not dressed.
Oh, yeah, look at me. I'm freaking dressed to the hilt over here. In fact, I might just sleep in these clothes and then wear those to the COVID vaccine tomorrow. I should look extra fat and wrinkled.
And
This video is sponsored by Stella.
I gotta look at the camera.
Oh. TV.
Stella, the other woman. State your name, Jim Tomaselli.
Very good. How tall are you?
How tall? I am 6'5".
What's your musical history in a nutshell?
In a nutshell.
Yeah.
This is me in a nutshell. I started playing drums at 12, very badly, and then continued badly until I was 14. And then I went from sounding bad to really bad for a long time. I started playing Judas Priest, and then I started sounding good. Yeah, we played a lot of Judas Priest. We were in a band
77?
in 77 called Intruder, I remember. We had a big drum
Not
riser.
Invader?
And I had a big drum riser that my dad and I built in the garage. And we had this giant banner across the front that said Intruder. And we sucked. And we played at Ben Franklin parking lots at a gig. That was our first gig. I think I was like 14.
You still remember?
Barely.
Well, didn't you go to California to be a musician?
I did. I wasn't a musician until I went to California, I guess. So you go to California and you realize there's 5,000 local bands. And you go, oh, let's see, how many record deals are there per year for each set of 5,000 bands? And there's like 30. So those are pretty bad odds. So we played prisons and we did all kinds of crazy
Prisons?
gigs. Yes. You didn't know that? We said, Johnny Cash, take a back seat. Yeah, we played prisons and we played all over the Southwest. Yeah, it was fun.
What do you do for a living?
Me? I'm Mr. Fiber. So I work in the fiber optic telecommunications industry, and we sell all kinds of crazy equipment that makes your internet go fast.
Didn't you work at the US Festival?
Well, I did. I got there just in time to actually go and work at the US Festival, and there was, I forget how many, 350,000 watts of power. And my job, I worked for JBL at the time, which was UREI, JBL, and I would sit behind the stage when all the big bands were playing, and if an amplifier started smoking or started turning itself off, my job was to hit the power switch and unplug it and pop one new one back into the rack, right? And it was all hooked in parallel and all this crazy config, and everything just seemed to work. It was crazy.
So, how many amplifiers did they have back there?
That's a good question. I don't remember.
About?
I don't know, 600? Something like that. It was
And how many people were at that show?
There was at least 350,000 people at that show.
That's pretty cool. Jim.
So it's like 1 watt per person, right? I think that was the joke. Here's your watt, there's your watt. Don't bother his watt. Leave his watt alone.
You ever seen Robin Trower?
I have seen Robin Trower, San Fernando Valley. And we worked our way up to the front of the stage and watched him like eat sour lemons with his mouth while he was playing guitar. I mean, he was so loud to get that sound.
You told me before it shook your pants.
It shook everything.
It was so loud, and my
was
pants
so
were
freaking
shaking.
loud. That was great, man. He was just unbelievable. You could hardly make out what he was playing, but since you knew the song so well, they sounded great in your head, you know, as your brain was shaking and rattling and ready to explode from what he was playing.
Who's your favorite drummer?
Well, I'd say Neil Peart, but Vinnie Colaiuta, and you know, there's just a giant list between Cobham and all those guys. I mean, in fact, we just watched that video, right, with Steve Gadd and Dave Weckl and Vinnie Colaiuta doing their drum off, which Adam had never seen, which I was surprised.
I never saw it.
Yeah.
1.3 million views.
Yeah. That's
And
one.
if you haven't seen it, check it out. Steve Gadd owns the show there.
He really does.
Who's your favorite guitar player?
You are. I'm very privileged to play with Adam. So.
All right.
No, you know,
for real.
my favorite guitar player is probably Uli Roth. Is one of my absolute favorites.
Me too.
Yep. I always said, my wife says you should have been a guitar player because you know every one of them, you know. Trower, Jeff Beck, Uli Roth, like those 3 guys really sit in the top of the heap for me, pretty much.
What about Frank?
Oh, Frank Marino, of
He
course.
fits right in there, right?
Oh, yeah. And I've met Frank, and I've actually talked to Frank on the phone. Crazy story, can I tell it?
Yeah.
So Frank I go to his website, which is kind of a fan's website that the fan built for him. And so I just sent a quick note to the webmaster, I thought, and I said, you know, this link's not working. And so, like, the next day, my phone's ringing at work, and I work for a Canadian company. So I see a 514 area code, which is Montreal, and I figured, it's got to be somebody from work. So I picked it up. I'm like, hello, this is Jim. And on the other end, he says, hi, Jim, this is Frank Marino. He went right to business. He said, you know, Jim, I'm happy you called me because I got a problem with the website, and let's see if we can figure it out together. And so we fixed it. I said, hey, you know, Frank, I've always enjoyed your music, and first of all, I want to ask you if you'd ever want to jam sometime if you're ever in town. And he said, absolutely, I will make that happen, he said. And he made my day. I'm like, can you imagine Frank Marino in my basement jamming with us? So just a down-to-earth person, probably one of the nicest people in the music industry,
One of the best guitar players ever, too.
He really is. So underrated, it's unbelievable.
Jim and I played in this band called Animation, which was a Rush tribute. How many times did you have to fix those Taurus pedals?
Thank God I'm a technician that kind of knew what I was doing. I fixed them at least 5 or 6 times. And one time when I fixed it, I broke something else. I actually burned up a little chip set that was in there that was very static sensitive. So all you had to do was run across the carpet and accidentally touch it like I did. And I burned the chip up. I replaced the chip, and somewhere in my basement I bought two of the last chips on Earth. One of them I put into his Taurus pedals, and the other one's still sitting in my basement, so.
Which is now for sale on eBay for
$10 million.
$10 million.
If you want the chip.
There you go.
So you can fix your Taurus pedals. Boating is definitely my #1 B hobby. We have a boat in Lake Michigan and love to do that on the weekends. Tell us about the gig at the dock.
Well, we show up the dock and there's like all these huge boats. But boy, do they like music, and boy, do they like to party.
Oh yeah, they do, don't they? Curl up at night, you know, hearing the wind and the sailboat, you know, halyards clanging against the masts at night. I mean, it's just fabulous.
Okay, how much does it cost to fill up the tank?
Oh, if you have to ask, don't buy a boat. That's what I say. Way too much. 300 gallons times $4 a gallon.
Yeah, and going up.
About $1,200 and going up probably.
I just like that $1,200 thing.
Yeah, well, I don't like that part.
All right, so what'd you think of that Dr. Z amp?
I love the Dr. Z amp. And I'm a Marshall freak when it comes to tone and sound of guitars from all those people we talked about.
Yep.
And I think this amp really duplicates it, and I didn't know much about it, you know. I didn't realize that the amp's been around as long as it's been around, so it's obviously has a place in the world. I just want to say I love you very much, and Monica's hiding over there, and I love you too, Monica. And these are my great friends, and we've all wanted to make a big impression in the music industry, and you know, we played our bigger gigs and had a great time, but it all comes down to this: us hanging out here, us playing together, us getting through this crazy COVID period, and all that good stuff. So
Very well said, Jim.
ah, thanks, man.
Thanks, buddy.
I love you, buddy.
Love you too. And now, if you made it through all that, we're going to play some music.
Woo!
All right, well, thank you everybody for watching the video.
Woo!
We really appreciate it.
Well, let's do a toast.
We need a sponsor.
We need a sponsor. To the wives and the mistresses, and may they never meet.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.